Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, powerhouse kings and queens, I'm Super Goggins, I'm a frag freak, and today I'm going to bring you an aspect of my collection. A figment of my hoardings, a percentage of my fragrant wealth. The house which I bring for you today is Jacques Bogart, and I've got for you a collection of several fragrances here. I don't know them all, but I own most of them, and they are from the Jacques Bogart one-man show line. So we will start with the original, which is this one here. This is a 2013 bottle, and this one, the 2013 one, is after the reformulation where they changed the percentage of alcohol in it. The previous percentage of alcohol in the true vintage ones was 85%, I think, and the current one, although this is a few years old, is a percentage of 87%. And with that change of the percentage of alcohol, I think came a major change in the formulation itself, and a lot of people in Fragrantica and Facebook groups and stuff like that are saying that it was changed for the worse, and not only was it not the same fragrance or a shadow of its former self, but it actually smelled very different as well, and it's sort of like an overall picture and components and note breakdown and stuff like that. So I wouldn't know because I haven't smelled the other one, but for this one, I bought it because I bought some of the other one-man show from the line before I bought this one, so I kind of wanted to see what the other ones were about. This was released, it's a chypre fragrance, which is French for cedar, so I'm assuming that would be to do with its woodiness. But I'm not going to go too much into the notes and stuff like that, partly because there's 26 of them listed in Fragrantica, and I need space in my brain for other things, you know. I need to be able to remember how to tie my shoelaces and stuff, so if I commit that to memory, then there's not going to be any space for much else. But I will give you, and we'll do the same with all of these fragrances. I'm not going to do like the notes as Fragrantica or Base Notes tells me. I'm just going to give you what I get from them. I'm going to go through them quite quickly as well. This one, the original, I sprayed these on tester strips beside me earlier on in the other room, because I knew that if I sprayed them in here on tester strips, what goes into the air will go on me and permeate me, so I would then be smelling of a four-way layering of one-man shows, which I don't want, because although it might be interesting and I do layer my fragrances a lot, I don't particularly want that. Okay, I have things to do today, and I don't want to get thrown out of Asda. The original, I've sprayed it on here, so let's get this one out. It will smell different on a tester strip, obviously, but what you initially get when you put it on skin is going to be roughly the same as this. I know the dry down is going to be different because my skin is not made of paper, blah blah blah. But make sure I've got the right one. I've written them on here, so I know which one is which. OG on this one. It's bright and green and herbal and soapy. It's very masculine. It's got some florals in here, so it smells woody and oaky, oak mossy, and I'm not going to go into, like I say, go into the notes and stuff like that, but to me it's bright and green and herbal and soapy. Very, very, very soapy. It smells like a natural bar of soap would that hasn't had any perfume or additives, like smelly additives put in it. It just smells like a bar of soap without anything added, just the soapy elements of the soap itself. Very, very soapy indeed. Quite fresh, quite bright, quite uplifting. I have enjoyed wearing this, but I do remember times putting it on and not enjoying it. So with me, it's kind of a mood thing. I've had my my wife, tell me that she liked it before, and other times she said she wasn't so sure, and it's the same with other people as well, I think. So sometimes it's going to work and sometimes it's not. That one, it stays in my collection because it's part of it, and I don't want to get rid of it because I respect it as a fragrance, and it only cost me 12 or 13 quid, so in it stays. Okay, that's what I think of that one. That's the original Jacques Bogart one-man show. Let's put that one over there. The next one, and I'm not going through these in order of preference or anything like that, although I am working up to the strongest one, in my opinion, and in my experience. The second one I'm going to go with is One Man Show, the Oud Edition. This one is a very recent release, it's released in, I don't even know when, I haven't looked at the Fragrantica stuff, but this one is a formulation from 2017. I believe it went through some formulations which took the strength down and it wasn't quite as good and stuff like that, but it seems to have had a return to form, because this one is very, very strong. It's a bit one of those ones that fools me a little bit, because the first time I tried it on, I thought that's very strong. The second time I tried it on, or whatever, the times after that I tried it on, I thought it was kind of medium strength. But I tried it quite recently, and I think it's sending me immediately anosmic. You know, it's giving me some kind of nasal fatigue or olfactory fatigue, isn't it? So my brain is just going, well, I think we'll halve that element, shall we? Should we try and ignore that partially? And but it's very, very strong for people around me on, and my sillage is very strong with it, I believe, because I did try this on recently and I didn't put very much on. Now for me, not very much. It's still 4 sprays, but I then went out and my sillage was huge. I mean, I could detect, but it was I was just in a cloud of this, and it was very, very strong. It was like I was bringing a friend with me to the shops, you know, and you know, this is my friend, and let's go and look at the fragrances. And this was like,
I'll kill them all.
So yeah, the longevity was very good, and the sillage was absolutely beastly. And I realised that when I put it on and then went outside, rather than being inside and hanging around with it for a bit, and then my brain and nose and stuff getting used to it, it revealed itself as an absolute beast. And I know now that it is actually very, very strong indeed. The smell of this one is actually very nice. Now, it's leathery, it's dark, it's woody, it's again herbal. It doesn't really have that brightness to it, although I can detect some citrus aspect in here. It's incensey, and there's not hardly any sweetness, but what sweetness there is a sort of ambery type of sweetness. And there's some faint spiciness in here that I can detect, but really what I'm getting is leather and the slight oud, although it's not very strong type of oud. It's like a tame sort of oud, and just some dark woodiness, and it's very formal smelling. Now I don't really go with the whole what do you wear with what clothing thing with fragrances, but I think this one smells like a suit fragrance to me. It smells like a suit fragrance. Very formal and not middle-aged, but more mature man. Not a kiddie fragrance. I certainly wouldn't suggest this for anybody really young, unless they're just a badass and they want to do that kind of thing, you know. So that one is again that one's a yes. That's for me. I like that one. That is One Man Show Oud Edition. Okay, moving on. The next one is the first one that really caught me of these in terms of wearability and how much I liked it. So we're working up through the strength here. Okay. One Man Show Ruby Edition. This one is a 2000, and it has it on the box and also on the bottle. I think I can see the bottle a little bit better. It's a 2011 one, this. No, it's 2012, this one. It's the same year it came out. I think it may have been released in 2013, and this is a 2012 on the production, but it's definitely the first batch or set lot of formulation, this one here. It's 2012. Now with this one, the Ruby Edition one, I get warmth and sweetness and a lot of depth and a sort of dark incensey, very strong incense type of vibe in here, very strong. Ambery, the sweetness is not like a sugary sweetness, it's not like a honey sweetness, it's not like a tonka sweetness, it's more of a amber sweetness. It's a very ambery and brown, it's kind of brown and warm and sweet and incensey and deep and dark and rich and very, very nice. I do like this one. It's got a synthetic smell to it as well, but all of these do. But once it's been on your skin for several hours, then it really, really starts to shine, and the longevity on it is stunning. All of these have very good longevity. I think the original one, this current formulation of the original one, is not massive, but the rest are. And this one is one of the ones that is starting to creep towards ridiculous mode. You know, beast mode has been left behind at this stage. We are creeping into absolute supernatural territory with these ones. So that one is very, very nice, very wearable, and out of the 4 which I'm showing you today, is probably the one which I would advise people to try the most. I think, you know, most people should give this a try. I nearly said most people will like it. It's not true. But I think really give it a try, and even as worth a blind buy, it's not going to cost very much these days, and if you don't like it, you know, somebody will have it off you, or you could just keep it in your collection because it looks nice, and it is a nice fragrance whether you like it or not. So that's very nice, that one. Ruby Edition, One Man Show. Now, Moving on. Prepare for this one, okay? Because this one is a shocker. I'm going to tell you a story about this fragrance, and it is true, and it's not exaggerated, right? I put this on one time, and I wasn't really in the mood for it. I went, oh no, but it was too late. And I went, I don't fancy this, I don't feel like it, it's not doing it for me. So I decided to take a bath, not a shower, an actual bath, right? I ran a nice hot bath. I got into the bath, I'd sprayed quite a lot of this on, and by quite a lot, I mean 8, 10 sprays kind of thing, right? Ridiculous. I got in the bath and I scrubbed myself with soap and a cloth in this hot water for about 10, 20 minutes, and almost nothing happened. I got out, and it just smelt like I'd put that fragrance on about an hour ago. It had permeated my very soul, yeah? It wasn't coming out at all. It still smelled extremely, extremely, extremely strong on my skin after a bath. So, this is what we're dealing with here. This one is Jacques Bogart's one-man show, Gold Edition. I do like this one. I forgot to look at what year this one is. I can see it on the bottle. If I can without my glasses. Hopefully I can, because I need glasses to read things up close at these days. Something like this close to me is really blurry, so I need to hold it away to be able to see it. This is 2011, this one. Yep, this is a 2011 bottle. This stuff is beyond a joke in terms of strength, sillage, longevity, projection, all of it. It is absolutely ridiculous. I struggle to describe it. I did a review on Fragrantica about this, and I remember just likening it to nuclear waste. I said it made nuclear waste look like a pansy or something like that, but it's not a joke. It's one of the longest lasting fragrances I've ever encountered in my life, and it's so strong, it's unbelievable. The smell of it, I do quite like. It's a bit strange. They all are slightly strange. This one is probably the strangest. Well, I think the first one is myself, but in terms of overall, in the fragrance world, I think this one might be the strangest. Again, it's a very complicated one. It's got tons of notes in it, but what I get from it, without looking and stuff like that, I did briefly look, and so some of the stuff I can remember, but what I definitely get is cinnamon and amber and cloves. There's cloves in here, it's very strong, and there's musk, and there's a sweetness of amber, and violet leaf. Violet leaf is really big hitter in this one. It's not violet leaf, I think it's actually violet flower. The smell of it, I'm getting that really strongly. So it almost has a slight hint of that kind of EDT of Fahrenheit kind of vibe in there. It's like a sort of almost like a petrol-y kind of smell in there. So this is deep, it's dark, it's rich, it's not very sweet, it's a bit sweet, but it's really, really pokey. It's got spices, and it's got some florals in here, a mix of florals. It's musky, and it's got a slight chemically, petrol-y kind of element to it. It smells almost oily, almost like oil, as you would imagine oil in its natural state. The oil that they then turn into, gasoline, petrol, whatever you want to call it, into, like actual oil, crude oil. And there's another thing I wanted to explain about this. Now, I am not likening this to Tom Ford Black Orchid, right? It's completely different. It doesn't share any of the notes at all, I don't think so. And I'm not just saying that because it's black and gold as well, but it's in the same kind of vibe, kind of thing, It's deep and dark and sultry with patchouli. I think it's got patchouli in it. And it's got that dark moodiness about it. And it's got that longevity. Longevity is the same type of thing as Tom Ford Black Orchid does. You can put this on clothes and it's going to smell like that weeks later. I am not joking, okay? Now, this video wouldn't be the same if I didn't do one of my silly little stories. And the one about this one is, imagine, before you start going, what are you doing even mentioning Tom Ford in the same breath as that garbage? I'm going to say to you, imagine if Tom Ford were a man, okay? He would be a man in a very expensive suit, in a very good job, with a big house and a big family, and very successful indeed. Now imagine that man turned to alcohol, turned to drugs, turned to crime, fell to pieces, stopped washing, lost his job, lost his house, lost his wife, lost everything, became depressed, and then decided that he was going to commit suicide. So he's poured petrol, gasoline all over himself, right? And then threatened to set fire to himself in front of everyone. Except that he's put so much petrol on himself that the matches are all wet and they won't light, okay? And he's just standing there like, look at me. That's what you've got there, okay? He's let himself go completely. Used to be big and famous and rich and everyone loved him. And now he's looked down upon and nobody will even set fire to him for him because they don't care about him. To cap on that one, I like it, but I would not suggest anybody to blind buy it at all. In fact, one of the only reasons I'm keeping it is because I will wear it occasionally. I definitely will. In fact, I might put some on right now. I said I wasn't going to, but I'm going to. Okay, I'm going to put some on now. I'm going to put some on my skin now. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do it. This is the first time I'll have worn this in 2 years, something like that. Okay, so here it goes. One man show, gold edition, on the Zoop.
3, 2, 1.
Look at the whoosh. On it goes as an actual wearing. In fact, I'll go for it full. There we go. There's 4 sprays already. 5, 6. 6 sprays of one of the strongest fragrances I've ever encountered in my life. Brought to you live here at Zoopy Goggins Frag Freak. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Safe man, chill out, enough respect, and I will catch you next time. Sweet.